What's up, guys? I'm testing out this lapel mic. I've had this thing for about a year. Meant to be getting in here and doing this a lot sooner, but here we are. What I'm going to try to do is take this old 2013 iMac and upgrade the hard drive and hopefully reinstall a newer operating system. It is older. Apple doesn't support it. However, I know things, and so I might be able to get this to Sequoia. Maybe not. We're going to see. We're going to have fun trying anyways. It's a Sunday. The birds are chirping. The sun is shining, and I feel like doing something productive with what little time of the day, free time I have left. So we're going to get into it. I, of course, am listening to some dank beats on the internet just for my own clutter of the mind. Helps keep me focused. I will post-production put something in here similar so you can hear it. The stuff I'm listening to is likely copyrighted. I've got royalty-free stuff for you guys. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to do two versions of this video. I'm going to do the long version where you guys can sit here and watch me do this the hard way in case anybody's interested. They sell these little pizza cutters on Amazon. Don't know what they're called. But if you search for the tool, you will find it. And there is adhesive in here that we got to get off, both off the screen and off the chassis. Do be careful right in the center around that camera. You can damage it. You will need special adhesive to put this back on. You can't use double-sided tape. The screen is too heavy and that tape is too weak. It will not hold, and you're going to have some very dissatisfied clients or customers. However, this is not, if you can tell by the hair color specifically, my first rodeo. And I'm sure it's a lovely day out there, but that AC over there that you probably hear in the background is also lovely. There we go. Now, I don't recommend that you actually do this yourself. However, I will do it for a fee. Again, this is 2013. This may not even work, but we're going to see. I know that 2015s and definitely 2019s got a lot more options to go a lot further before Mac forces you off of the hardware. So now we have adhesive stuck on the chassis and the other half of this stuff. It's almost like a foam in the middle of that tape, and it sticks to both sides. It makes doing this not very fun. However, occasionally if you're getting some kind of post behavior where it won't turn on, there are lights on the board that will light up. I believe they're down here on this model, but there's 4 of them, and they will tell you kind of how far in the boot process that this thing got before it decided to not work. Now this particular one, as far as I'm aware, actually boots all the way. So we are simply pulling out this old, tired, I'm sure, platter drive from yesteryear, and we are gonna try to breathe new life into this thing. The platter drives were good for the day, and they're reliable. I still have the old style hard drive in here with my stuff, and when I say in here, I mean in this desktop that I use. I have an NVMe for my operating system, but I do have the the same platter drives that we've used for years and years and years for my stuff. And so I point my desktop documents, downloads, music, pictures, and videos folders off that quick little NVMe. That way when it finally winks out in a blaze of glory, that my stuff will hopefully be on the platter still. Because when you gain that speed with those new drives, when they tend to go all at once. I do have both on-site backups, and I pay for, don't pay currently, but would pay for cloud backups as well. I do local backups for just convenience. They're here, I have them, and I can quickly do a restore if I need to. However, if something goes awry and my house burns down, then I'm going to lose my computer and I'm going to lose my backups if they're here. And so I do both. I push stuff up to the cloud. The cloud is a weird phrase for somebody else's computer, and everybody's got one. Apple's got one. You iPhone and Apple users, you know all about it. Microsoft has cloud storage for OneDrive. You guys use Dropbox. Those are not backups, by the way. That is a file synchronization. I have seen a gentleman, and this is the only time I've ever seen it, but his hard drive failed, and I was looking at it, and you could see all the folders and you could see all the files, but the files were 0 KB, 0 kilobytes, have no data. So they were sort of there, but not really. And what happened was it uploaded that change on the computer to the cloud, because now all the files were different. Gotta keep everything synchronized. And it uploaded that to the cloud. And essentially that gentleman lost all of his data. I'm pretty sure that was pertinent to his business, and he was not thrilled with that outcome, which is why I suggest to people that don't mind spending a little bit of money for a lot less hassle, just bite the bullet and spend the $100 or less a year that it might take to get your things backed up somewhere else. It's usually, if the place is worth its salt, and I have recommendations if you need them. The data is encrypted, 256-bit, which is currently safe until quantum computing comes out and ruins all that, but we're not quite there yet. I've just removed the adhesive from around the edge of this thing so we can put the new stuff down. Now I have to do the same to this. So I have a piece of foam over here that I'm going to set this on. I keep stuff like this around. You know, not the styrofoam your cups are made out of, but just a good piece of thick foam so you can put screens and nice cases on it. I know some of you may be appreciating my solution, but honestly, when you're working on a gaming desktop and they've got lights everywhere, you don't just have the data cables and the power cables anymore. You have those freaking RGB cables, so it's all glowy and pretty, and I can't say anything. I've got 10 tons of them in here, and I think that's when I built this is when it convinced me that I should get this thing. And that right there is what separates the boys from the men. Experience. Experience tells me that this is way easier a solution to do cabling in these towers. If you're snaking it in here and that doesn't work, and it's not, you got to run it this way, maybe down and over and on and on and on and on and on. And this just takes a lot of the freaking work out of it for me. Do be careful not to touch everything in here. It strike me that I rearranged. I say my lovely wife has rearranged this room and helped organize it probably half a dozen times by now. And bless her heart, every time she does, she reorganizes everything that I own. And unfortunately, with my condition, which is ADHD, if I can't see it, it might not exist. And so if I take those tools, for instance, and I put them all in a drawer somewhere, next time I come in here to look for them, I might not know where the heck they are, and I'll stand around staring at these things like a monkey doing a math problem. Now, do be careful how you decide to get this off. I've got that metal tool, but this is wireless here. I'm not trying to scrape on the wireless antenna. And you have to be really respectful of up around this camera. Mac makes super tiny everything, and it's real easy to damage. When I go to pull this hard drive out, I've got to watch out because the power cable runs right up the side of the speaker, which I have to pull to get this out. And it actually, this power cable runs from the button on the back through this speaker down here where you can't see it, underneath the frame here. This has to come up. And you haven't lived until you've broken that cable, had to pull this stuff right here out. Use a heat gun to get that button to unadhere because it's just stuck sticker down there. Pull that out, order another one, freaking out the whole time that your client's going to be upsetty spaghetti. You know, which it's their stuff and it's not inexpensive, and everybody's in a hurry. They need their stuff yesterday. Again, backups, people. You haven't had an experience until you've lost stuff that you need. Not stuff that you want, stuff you need. Stuff you can't replace, stuff you can't get back. I've done it a number of times in my youth, back before the internet was this robust, and I don't intend on doing it again. I have a lot of hours of logos and websites and my own marketing stuff and other people's marketing stuff and you name it, ideas and everything else on where I would like to direct my business. I don't really relish the concept of losing all of this and having to try to redo it. So don't be scared of the backups, guys. Now, if you want to check how old your product is and it runs, you can go up to the top left of the screen where the Apple logo is, and you can click that. I'm pretty sure it's called System. I'm not an avid Mac user. I keep these around to repair other Macs with. I got all the installers over there. I think one of the most common things I run into is people, for whatever reason, refreshing their Mac. They wipe the OS off of it, and then the recovery environment, for whatever reason, doesn't allow them to put a new OS on it, even though you can see plain as day it says install. And then something in the process flakes out, and inevitably I get a call to sort that. And so I have installers for all of the Mac OSs that anybody's going to want to use over there on that one. And that is its sole purpose in life, is to provide me with Mac installations for other Macs. I'm not bashing either one, Mac or Apple. They have their pros and cons. Linux guys, of course, are a whole other breed of nerd. Much respect to them. I can't do it. My games all run on Windows. Ergo, I'm stuck on Windows regardless of anywhere else I would prefer to be. I think I would have probably just bit the bullet and did Linux a long time ago, were it not for the video games. Ooh. Inevitably, the phone rings. Let's try to hush this up while we're here. Your boy needs a vacation. There we go. We're going to silence that for just a little bit, long enough to get this back together. I am going to cut the video at some point. I suspect that what I'm going to do is get this back together and go get lunch. What time is it? We'll see. See how long I fight with this little piece of stuff here. This one is not wanting to come off. This is like venom. Well, once it's in there, it's kind of part of it. Venom, the film, not actual venom. Older people, I'm sorry if you don't get all the pop culture references. Younger people, enjoy. Sort of like a movie video game enthusiast. Again, I'm going to have a sped up version of this where I just narrate what I'm doing and try to get this down to maybe a 5-minute film for the impatient out there. But for anybody that's interested in who the heck I am and what I do, I put this out there so you can see where your money is going to go. I understand working out of the home, people are a little leery, but honestly, I didn't want to charge people more just for me to be posted up somewhere else when I can do this quite happily here. I spend a lot of my time driving to people, setting up their environment, their network, in their homes, of printers and laptops and desktops, and virus spyware removal. Do a lot of that on site. Now down here on the bottom, I am using a metal tool. Careful not to touch the faceplate, but back here, nobody is going to see this because we're going to re-adhese this and the screen's going to come back over it. So I am not worried about using that tool right here on the bottom. And honestly, because of that crease right there and the way that the adhesive sits in it, you're going to have a heck of a time getting that off anyways. I value my fingers, so I don't use a razor knife. I am blind in my left eye, so it makes anything with depth super interesting and fun. You can imagine how much I enjoy driving. I prefer long distance driving, but I think that's just a man thing. Maybe it's a human thing. But I find myself in basically every gated community between here and Orlando, Kissimmee almost. I'm very much all over Lake Wales, Winter Haven, Dundee, Frostproof, Babson Park, Lakeland, up into North Lakeland. I don't know how these guys get my information, but somebody appreciates it. I work for a major computer repair shop in Winter Haven for many years, where I learned quite a lot about how to do this stuff. And some of things I knew and some things I learned while I was there. All of it been a blessing. So there is the tedious part. I do have solid state drive here to replace that one. I won't be needing this. Doing the adhesives, quite honestly, my least favorite part. And that needs to be shred. Let's get in here. What a life. Sit around, listen to music, talk to yourself, and get paid for it. Is that a thing? I guess it is a thing. It's like every schizophrenic's dream. Sit around and talk to yourself, be entertained mildly, and every one of these adhesive strips, the reason I had the tool already is because they come with these little pizza cutters. I'm sure you could get them separately, but when I did that Mac, I got that set, and I guess I'll just start accruing these, just like I have probably half a dozen or a dozen of these that come with the LCD screens to all these machines that I do. Laptops, nobody works on monitors. You break your monitor, go buy a monitor. And you're gonna pay me for 2/3 the cost of the machine, and then after I get done doing labor on that thing, you're literally gonna be right there at the cost of replacing it. Makes no sense to try to get somebody to repair that thing. Or at least I've yet to run across one that matters. And I saw the super mega ultra wide. It was like 60-inch, and I don't mean TV. It was a gaming monitor. It was the widest screen I'd ever seen. That thing cost $2,500, $3,000, something like this. The part was going to be like $2,200 or something crazy, and then we'd have to get it. There has to be some kind of markup on this thing for it to be valuable to do it, plus labor, because you got to eat. And I was just like, look, guys, you're going to have to just get another one. And sometimes it be like that. Oh. The real question is, which one of these is going to let me get that off of there? I suspect all these are going to be a bit small. And again, that one-eyed thing makes this super fun. I do have a set of these somewhere, but I can't remember if we put them over here or if they're in one of these drawers over here. Let's see. It is definitely none of them. So I am going to likely have to go to the car to get my mobile set of tools. I have tools everywhere. I have duplicate tools here and in the car. So what I'm going to do is remove the lapel mic for a minute. I'm going to put the headset down. The little hanger, like so. And you're going to be in here by yourself. I'm not even going to cut it. I'll be right back. And we're back. I'm going to show you this little tool set. Favorite of mine. Keep it in the car. I really do need to get one for the house. This is pretty cool. Client actually showed me this, and it was his. So that little thing just pops out with the press of a button, and you end up with all these little magnetic things. Things I have never even seen in here. However, I'm looking for Torx, which is going to be down at the bottom here. Looks about right. Maybe this one, maybe the next one. And if I push this little button up, it raises that little guy. I don't know if you can see, this thing's got tweezers and pry bars and all the little bits that you're probably going to need for most things. It's not going to be good for desktops. Desktop, you want to get you something like this for the fans and the spaces, and then stubby for the little tight fits in case you're taking fans off and you don't want to take the heat sink off of the inside. This is not overcompensation. If you saw some of these heat sinks, then I've got to get down past it to actually unscrew that thing, and it's coming off the board this far. This thing here, man. And that tip is a case fan assassin. That thing right there makes it so much easier. So don't laugh. I'm kidding, you can laugh. I'm not your mama. Way too big. Good job. Which means that the smaller ones are definitely going to work. Well, let's see, how much bigger is that? Again, one eye, so a little bit of this for me becomes feel or trial and error. That's actually a security torch. It's got the little hole in the tip, so that's even cooler. Go me. That's right. And my least favorite thing about Macs is every one of these screws is bound to be a different size. I cannot stand it. Now, I hear and have heard over the years from many people that I'm sort of a personable person for a tech. I've had people say, if you didn't tell me what you did, I'd have no idea. And I was like, well, I prefer you didn't ask, honestly, but here we are. And so I don't know what everybody else out there is doing, but I tend to enjoy having a personality. And my customers seem to enjoy the fact that I also have a personality. Magnetizer, of course. If you don't have half a dozen of these laying around, well, what are you doing with your life? Whisking eggs? That's what it sounds like. I'm also gotta fix that. I think that just needs an OS, this little gateway over here. I believe I'm gonna sell that one. I have an HP somewhere. I'm gonna make another video for the HP because I believe I'm gonna throw a hard drive in it if it doesn't already have a solid state. I've got another Mac somewhere else that I'm gonna be selling. We'll tell you a trick. If you put the tip of the screwdriver into the magnet, sometimes it increases magnetization. Apparently it's not going to help me out here, but it does work quite well on laptop screws. If I put the tip of the little screwdriver in here really close to the edge of the magnet and sometimes lightly unscrew the screws and lift up, the extra magnetism with the screwdriver on the inside will be enough to back the screw out, because they don't always want to come out. Of course, a sane person might just flip it upside down and pop it in their hand, but why would anybody do something so straightforward when you can be complicated? So that's going to come out because there's nothing holding that in here except for a little lip down here, but right under where you can't see here again is that power cable, which I'm going to undo. You will enjoy your time if you let one of these things get upside down on you. The little pin connectors in there, there's two little copper dots looking at me, which means that those have to be facing me when I put it back together. The smarter people have a, who makes it? Is it Bic? Make the pens and stuff? I know they make the lighters. But they make a whiteout pin that's whiteout, little fine tip. And you can put a little paint dot right there on that so it's facing you. Put one there, put one here, here. That way you know, there. That way you know which way that thing needs to face. That way when you go to put it back, you don't have to worry about, is this right? Because it will be right. Luckily, this single Torx bit. Now this one, you see how long this is. I don't know if you guys can see that guy, but there's a fair chance that only 2 of these are going to be the same size and the rest are going to be something else, or maybe 3 of these are going to be the same size and the rest are going to be something else. Oh, we got 2, and this will just lift off. It just sits on a little cover to kind of hold that drive in. The connector for it is on this side, so I have to get the speaker out of the way to back that out. And then these little rubber sides just kind of stick on. So I'm going to peel those off and I'm going to stick them on here. It really doesn't even have to stick. It just has to hold it inside of this little plastic caddy that they've installed onto the frame. Again, ooh, boy, that was almost a mechanic mistake. And what I mean by that is that little guy has a proclivity to drop down behind there, and if it does, ooh, then you've got to take the power supply off, you got to take the fan cover off, you're gonna have to take this speaker out. The speaker wire comes way back over here. You're gonna have to unplug half of the 3/4, all the cables on this side are gonna have to come off to get the stuff out of here, all to get that screw from wherever the heck it fell down there. Not that I've ever done that before or intend to do it now. I really am trying to hurry. I'm planning on going to lunch. I'm looking forward to that. Of course, why would that be the same size as any of these? So you saw how small the other one was. Now this is the first one I pulled out. There's 2 of them this size, and now we need a bigger one. I don't know why. Somebody thought maybe having every screw in this thing a different size was a great idea. And I suspect that they do this so that people like me don't do this. And honestly, there's not a whole lot on this thing that you can actually repair. You've got your speakers. If this NIC card breaks, you can get that out of there. There's a video card on the back side. If you really want to pay me to pull this out, it's going to cost you hundreds. I will do it, but I'm not going to like it. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to bill quite well for my time doing this, because this has been, in my experience, a $2,000 ticking time bomb that you have to be super careful with. So if I'm averting risk, you are paying me for it. Risk mitigation is what I really get paid for. You guys can come do everything. You want to watch this video and attempt this and break it, you go right ahead, and when you do, you buy yourself another one. I get paid what I get paid because I can do the hard things. Now, a lot of people want to call me up and ask me, hey, if I want to do XYZ, how much is that going to cost? And if XYZ is something simple like come fold paper airplanes, my rate is the same as it would be if I were doing this in your house, which I would not do because I need all of these tools and stuff. But just imagine that I actually felt like doing this kind of work in your home. Now I could swap hard drives and laptops and desktops and stuff on site. That'd be no big deal. This thing, of course, is a bit of a different animal. And if I'm building a new machine, which I would like to do for my bedroom, actually, for days where I just want to flop around in there and play video games and not really just just kind of just lay in the AC and just rest. without having to come out here and be a person. Sometimes I just want to be a bear in my cave and hibernate on a Sunday for at least half a day, which is rare. But getting sidetracked. I'm getting hungry. Yeah, I would not recommend doing any of this. You would be surprised how much upward pressure you have to get this out. But the second that little piece, and you can kind of see the edge, I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it on your screen there, but there's a little gap right here. And the second that this piece, and I can almost see that cable through there, as soon as that piece clears this gap, you have to have hands off, no pressure, precision machine, like scary, because if not, this cable here is still attached, and I can pull it out to right here at the frame, but it's going to curve right below the frame, and it's going to run right across the speaker, and there is like no room for error here. I'm actually debating getting something to put a little pressure on that with to give me a hand, a little leverage maybe, without that little guy right there. And as long as that little cable is not running through that little channel right there, then this thing is going to pop out no problemo. I also have to be careful not to whirlwind my stand here, lest all these little screws go flying all over the place. I did paint the floor white in here. It's impossible to keep clean. However, if a screw hits the ground, I can find it, which was the point of this. So annex the front of my house to turn it into a workshop for you wonderful people. Little. Ooh. No, you don't. Let's migrate you guys right over here for just a minute. You can go there. That's the speaker. These are the hard drive screws. Now, when you go to put these back, they're only going to thread one way. That long one is always going to fall all the way down, and it's going to grab the threads in there. If you try to put it in one of the other ones, it's going to be sticking out about that far. Like, you'll figure it out, guys. You don't have to know every single thing. You can work your way through a little bit of this. I do not recommend doing this on things that you care about or things that anybody around you cares about. I learned all this stuff on older ones where it didn't really, I don't want to say it didn't matter if it was damaged, but it matters less. Now that's about as far as I can take that, because this cable's getting taut. So unless I want to take this off and then unplug it from there, which I don't particularly want to do that, then that's just going to have to sit there. There's old hard drive. Now Macs have, for my dislikes of these things, they have phenomenal data migration software, and after seeing it in action, it really has impressed the heck out of me. You can transfer stuff across networks. You can plug this drive into that Mac and boot directly to it. You can run Time Machine once it's over there, and there are some caveats, and it doesn't always quite work out the way you want. But by and large, on the data migration front, these guys are winning. Make sure that the drive is facing the same way when you're playing with these, and it doesn't matter if it's these little gummy things or if it's some HP laptop you took apart. You get it faced the right way, just so it sits the right way. Now this looks to me like these are actually the same on both sides, so this doesn't appear to be a big deal. But I know in the laptop world, those little hard drive brackets only mount one way, and it becomes pain in the butt when you get it wrong. You put them in there and you're like, go to put the drive in, you're like, nope. And you try it again, nope. And you try it again, nope. It's almost like USB where you plug in it, you look at it, and you look at the USB and you stare at it and you're like, no, that's right. And you go to plug it in and you're, oh, wait, that's not right. And then you got to plug it in upside down, which is definitely not right. And then you flip it back the way you had it and it works. Kind of the same way with this. Now, the real challenge is going to be to actually get this to mount back on here without having to take this whole thing apart. And you two-eyed people in the world may find that rather simple. However, my one-eyed self does not find that too simple. No, the reason that I can't just pull that screw out and pop this out is because this actually mounts to a piece of aluminum back there, slips over it, and then if I want to get this or this out on either side, I got to take that screw out, and then I got to take the power supply out. The power supply is actually plugged into the back of this board over here, and it's plugged in right there. The plug for it is right here. You can just barely see it behind the logic board there. Processor's up here, video cards back there. And I don't enjoy doing this, so I would rather fight with this for a little bit until it slips on there than to actually have to go in there and take that entire thing apart. And so what we're going to do is just try to coax the end of this on here. And in my experience, I am quite unsuccessful doing this for a number of minutes until I get everything lined up just right, because the cable runs behind there, so you really have zero leverage. I can't pull this that way, I can't push it that way, other than maybe 1/4 of an inch or 1/8 of an inch, just enough to get the connector to slip back on here. And so that takes me some time to get everything kind of matched up, and usually I angle the drive in and it looks pretty good right there actually. And then you have to get the edge of that cable to just slip on just right so that the rest of it will connect. But it has a proclivity to lean forward because of the tautness on the back of that cable. And so this really does become kind of a rather delicate dance that I'm really, with my one-eyed self, not particularly suited for. It's very close though, very close. Oh, no, don't do that. And again, I'm not applying like real pressure here. I mean, I'm just barely. Nothing in here. You don't pry on this stuff. I get so many construction workers and mechanics and you name it. And then you guys, I know in your line of work, you got to really crank down on stuff and break stuff loose and tighten it up, make sure it's not going to rattle off. This is not that. Everything here is hand tighten, just snug it, with very few exceptions. Now, if you see my bicep bulge or my hand start, you'll see the muscle tense up. You'll like this thing, just enough to get it past here. You need to put a little bit of elbow grease, but you also have to be careful because if that cable damages, you're going to be taking all this apart just to route that cable back through here again. You can't slip it in because obviously there's mount points for these screws in the way. So what's more than likely going to happen if you get this wrong is you're going to pay part of my car payment and I'm going to have to do the work for you. And I don't want that any more than you want that. I dislike frivolously spending people's money. I don't mind spending it if it's purposeful. And I'll always try to offer a budget solution first. I know a lot of you guys are out there just trying to make ends meet. I'm one of them. Guys, you have no idea how fragile this is. And I know I've got stuff everywhere, and the reason is because I'm playing a bit of a balancing act with my finances to be able to do this. I bootstrapped this business from absolutely nothing. None of this existed. Nothing, none of this was here except this computer. This desk, I didn't have this desk when I built all this. This desk's very nice. This is probably the most comfortable chair I have ever sat in. It's firm on the bottom, and you guys may not like that. I have lower back issues, and this little thing right here for that lumbar, I know you can't see it well, but that is like a beautiful hug to the lower back. And it makes sitting in here doing this, especially if I'm neck deep in some web thing, or worse, learning something new, which is why I keep the dual screens. If it's something new that I'm interested in doing, usually I'm like watching them over here and trying to like recreate whatever it is over there, or I'm reading about how it's supposed to work and guinea pigging it over here. And I know most of you actually like to have fun when you have fun, and occasionally I would enjoy that too, but a lot of times learning new stuff is just kind of part and parcel. So now that the cables ran, I've got it plugged back in. It is definitely through the channel. It is not going to catch on this. It's in there on both sides, where when I push this down, it's not going to break. We're going to ease this back down. The ease. Now you're gonna watch the guns come out again. Because we got to put a little bit of downward pressure on this thing to get it to behave. Be mindful, if I swivel this chair around and it hits this, that whole thing's gonna crash down. This is gonna knock over. This can get caught on the back of the chair easily. It's not like you can't just rake that off. Crunch, and then you hear this big explosion and this nice glass noise. Not that I've ever done that before. Honestly, I have made some mistakes. Nobody bats 1,000. I can tell you that my failure rate with something like this is exceedingly low. I probably 1% of the stuff I touch annually. I'm talking thousands of things come through my hands, and every now and again, every long once in a while, there's a hiccup. Especially in the MacBook world, and even some of the HP world. Those ribbon cables in there are just so super thin and delicate. And I mean, if you crease it the wrong way, and you would think that, you know, the pressure I put on this cable would destroy the other ribbon cable, and then you've got to order another one, and then you got to wait. And it's literally a little piece this long, but it has to be that piece for that model, and it costs what it costs because it's proprietary, and it's not arm and a leg, but it cuts into my profit when I have to fix a boo-boo. Sometimes a little thing, sometimes maybe a larger thing, depending on what it is. That's why you have business money, and that's why you have insurance, just in case the boo-boos happen. I don't know who else is running around out there YOLOing, but I have liability insurance. This stuff's covered, I think, $1 million per occurrence, just in case. And I have not had to use it, but it is there as a reassurance for you and me, just to make sure that nothing goes sideways. Now, having said that, I've done data recovery on hard drives that were on the edge. You can hear it making noises. It's not a good sign. And I've been in the middle of doing data recovery. The system sees the drive. It's getting everything it needs. It's going. And I've had this just, give up mechanically in the middle of it. I've seen solid states and NVMEs, just they're there 1 minute, the next minute they're gone. Like when you notice that these things are going slow, you need to act like immediately. Like the time to fix it is not when it stops working, it's when it stops being normal, right? This is like, you know, if your pet was acting funny, you're like, oh, Fluffy doesn't feel good, let's take him to the vet. If you notice something isn't right, bring that thing to me. PCs, you know, there's a certain amount of maintenance, but usually there's symptoms associated with an issue. Oh, it's making a noise, it's giving me a message, this thing is happening, I'm getting pop-ups, it's super slow, the icons aren't popping up, it takes forever to start up, on, and all these kind of descriptors point to an issue that probably need to be addressed. And I don't mean like it's always been that way, although maybe you bought one used and it's just slow as molasses. It probably should have been dealt with right out of the gates. When I bought my pre-built gaming rig, when I first got hired at my full-time position with the other job, I got the hard drive and I got the memory and I looked at the brand, and it wasn't Corsair and it wasn't Samsung, and I took it and I threw it in the recycle bin. And I bought quality parts and I put in there, and this was years ago, and I don't even own that machine anymore, but I know who does, and those parts are still rocking, still going strong, still good. So you kind of, as far as parts go, you get what you pay for. Now, I'm not a fan of overpriced, crazy, like Alienware products. They have a great brand, and then when they work really great, but I don't like that I can't really just swap parts out inside the chassis and the desktops and everything, and they've got their following, and I almost bought one, but for what I was getting, I really just wanted something that I could upgrade later with ease, and if something went wrong, I could replace the parts relatively easily without costing an arm and a leg. And that brings me to another point, guys, is if you buy just cheap stuff off of eBay or Facebook, or I don't know where. I sell stuff on Facebook, but if you're buying just low-end stuff and you bring it in here, I'm going to bill you to make it better. And if you're paying $50 for your computer, and then I turn around and charge you more than that for the part, and then more than that for the labor, and all of a sudden it eclipses the cost of the machine, don't bring it in. Like, if this is going to be an issue, don't bring it in. I find my prices reasonable. I know what everybody else charges. I know what it's worth, on and on and on. And I believe that I come in as extremely fair, and especially considering my skill level. Again, you're not paying me to screw the screws in. That's not like I could teach a toddler to take this tool and screw that screw in. You're paying me not to blow this thing up. What happens if it goes sideways? What if there's a problem? Right? You're paying me, and most of you know this, but some of you don't. I had a young man come into the other place I work, and he had an issue, and I looked at it and I poked around, and I went in the BIOS and changed a couple settings, and up she comes. Probably took me 20 minutes, and I billed the young man for the hour. And he was, I mean, when I say young man, he was a teenager. He was maybe late middle school, early high school, and he seemed upset that I got it done so fast. Now, and that's his youth, not understanding, but some people, for whatever reason, they never seem to make it out of that mindset that because it didn't take me very long, that somehow it wasn't worth what I asked. Well, in reality, if he had gone to another shop, they would have fumbled around. And I'm not pointing fingers, naming names, but I've been in this game a while, and I have seen and heard things all over. And I don't make everybody happy either, so don't think that I'm, God's gift to the world. There are some people that simply don't like me. They don't like my business. My business is called Take It or Leave It for a reason. You can take it or leave it. It's basically, I don't really enjoy doing business, infrastructure, servers, any of that. I don't care about that. I don't want to do it. I don't like doing it. I have done it. I've worked for banks and been in that environment and that pecking order and those politics and all of that nonsense. And honestly, it's like pulling teeth. You couldn't get me back in there at gunpoint. I don't want to do it. But what that young man didn't realize is he would have gone somewhere else. They would have been unable to probably identify what was going on. If the technicians are new or inexperienced, they would have probably wiped his operating system out and saved his data, air quotes, like probably just went in there and drag and dropped. And sometimes that's all you can do, if that's all you can do. But other times there are other ways of getting things done. And I kind of like to spend the time to see if all of the hard avenues are going to fail before I do the easy thing. The easy thing is the least desirable thing for you, typically. Usually people want their stuff where they left it. They want their passwords in the browser. They want their favorites where they were. They don't want to have to re-download, reinstall their games. They're worried about losing progress. On and on and on and on. And I tried to mitigate a lot of that. So the gentleman asked me, how long did that take you? And I was like, it took me about 20 minutes. And he was like, and you're going to charge me for the full hour? And I was like, yes. And the reason is because you're not paying me for the 20 minutes of figuring out what was going on and solving your problem. You're paying me for it. Now this is just Scotch tape. There's fingerprints all over this thing. What I'm going to do is make sure that this little guy is going to turn on. There's not going to be any issue. And I'm just using the Scotch tape. I'm going to use it in numerous points, probably 6 or so pieces. And this is just a temporary measure to make sure that everything's going to work. The OS is going to install. The hard drive is going to be recognized and all this. Because what you don't want to do, again, experience, is do all of this just to find out that you didn't connect something quite right in there, or maybe the cable's backwards, or maybe you forget to plug in the fan, or Lord knows, man, we get busy and interrupted all day, and it makes doing this maddening when everybody has a question. And everybody, of course, here they all want to talk to me because I'm the only one here, but in the other life I live, working for other people, it's just James all day long. And it really makes doing some of the more complicated stuff just almost impossible sometimes if there's no break or breather or quiet time, which is why sometimes when you guys call, I don't answer. Something like this, I'm not going to answer while I'm doing this. And if I'm on site with somebody, or maybe I'm driving, maybe I'm on another call, maybe I'm reading something super complicated, trying to solve an issue, and you get upset that I'm not catering to you. Oh, you don't want my business because you didn't answer your phone when I called. And I don't really mean just people with means, but there are so many people that they're just in such a hurry that we feel like I should be like Walmart, right? Like there's 60 employees standing around, not at the registers, just waiting to answer that phone call. Guys, there is one person here doing this work, and you are looking at it. Almost. There are video cables back here that connect the screen back to the board, which have to be removed before you can take it off. And you gotta reach your big old fingers down in here and put them back in very delicately. When you put it back on, Oh, Lord. Let's lay you down just a little bit. Let's do this. Now I gotta not drop this because this thing will go back if I let go, and the screen will fall forward as well. In my one-eyed world, there's never enough light when I need it. I do have a headlamp that I use. It's actually over there, but I'm enjoying the music more than I want the light right now. And I'm probably about to go eat lunch as soon as I get this kind of taped up. It's getting, what, later in the day? Oh yes, must have sustenance. So what I'm gonna do is pause the recording and then stitch it together when I get back. There's no movie magic, guys. I don't own two of these things. I own that one. That's a 27-inch back there. This is a 24-inch. I don't have these things laying around. If you guys, some of you have been in here and seen this. Again, I work out of my home, and there's no room for any more stuff in here. Wish you guys could hear this music, but I don't own the rights to this. But I'll put something chill and not completely sleepy, but I tend to listen to a brand of music called Chill Step, and it's just kind of digital music, and it just kind of plays in the background. It may have lyrics, but they're really just kind of subdued, and it's this kind of thing that you would see in the movies. You know, the detective is walking down the street and he's looking cool, and it's inappropriate to play a rock song or be loud. You're just kind of, you know, the city street lights are going, and it's just kind of ambient music almost in the background. That is basically what Chill Step is, which I have followed religiously almost for years, because it gives me just enough energy to where I pay attention to what I'm doing, but not so much that I'm distracted by it. Again, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm gonna do 6. Honestly, it's overkill. Again, I'm not leaning the screen forward. This is not permanent. This is simply just to make sure that when I plug this bad boy in, I get the chime, we're gonna see the logo, it's gonna try to load the OS, and since there's nothing on that other hard drive that Mac is gonna care about, I don't really know what was on here. Now this hard drive, I don't remember if I actually installed the OS on this one to make sure it was gonna work, or if this is the one that I didn't do that on. Again, if it's older than 2013, I probably would recommend you just recycle that. You could bring it to me, or I could direct you to somewhere else that can let you recycle that. The data on these drives, when I get them, if I get rid of them, I will take them to the same place that you could take them to, and when they go there, the data is going to get destroyed. They're going to take that drive, it's going to go into what looks like a paper shredder, but it is a metal grinder. They get a video of that drive, serial number, and the drive going in, and the machine crunching it up. I tend to hold on to those for just a little bit, 30 days. It gives people time to get home, do whatever. The stuff that you use every day, you're gonna notice that it's not right or needs to be installed or whatever it is. You're gonna notice that. The infrequent things, the things you don't check for all the time, sometimes crop up in the first week or so after a data transfer if it's not a direct clone. And that gives me time to, and I label those things. This one I'm not labeling because I don't care what's on there, but if it were yours, I have labels over there that I put so I know that your drive goes to yours and that drive goes to that, etc., etc. And I keep it around for just a little bit in case we miss something. Again, nobody bats 1,000. I have very clever software that I've spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds on to do various things depending on what it is, and it's very robust, but occasionally people save stuff off in abnormal places. It seems like this mic has really been working good. I tested the audio quality before I hit record on this, so we're gonna put a pin in this here. I'm gonna go have lunch again Sunday. Tomorrow's back to the grind, but this is kind of leisurely, and I've been wanting to do this for a while, just for you guys. So, not that you care about this so much, but I wanted you to know more about me and see kind of what it is that I can do. I understand it's cluttered in here. I was gonna do green screen and tidy up and all that, but honestly, this is just how it's gonna be. So there's no perfect time to start doing something you're passionate about. I will see you guys in a minute. Well, it's been there for a while. You know what this means? Do you know what this means? That's what it means right there. But we're gonna let this cook. I may or may not fall asleep. I'm gonna let it ride. However, assuming that installer gets done, then I'm gonna pop back. It may be dark out there. It may be the next day. I'm kind of tired of this Sunday, but we're gonna pick this up whenever that thing right there decides that it wants to behave and play nice. So we shall return. Holy jump cut, Batman. So it is a day later, as I explained in a different video for this little guy. The iMac decided to commit seppuku, so it is on the bench over there waiting for parts, and I have more adhesive coming from it. I'm going to make a video about replacing that power supply, which I suspect is acting up. I don't use it for anything other than what I'm about to use this little MacBook Air for, and that is to make a thumb drive to get that going again with Sequoia, I hope. Again, don't know, haven't tried it, but I'm pretty sure. I believe this is a 2013. I'm almost certain I can get that to go up. Meanwhile, I was working on this little guy who needs some drivers. It did die on me in the middle of the previous repair. I just figured Windows would do what it does and throw the driver on there for me. However, it decided not to do it, and I'm not entirely sure how good this battery is. I suspect it's okay. There we go. There are some commands that you can type in the terminal. It's the command line for the uninitiated. You know, the Windows crowd doesn't really spricken the Mac. So we are going to make a bootable drive. I was going to do this yesterday, however, my thumb drive is 16 gigs and it's too small, and it didn't have a 32 that I saw laying around, so I went overkill and got a 128 gigabyte drive. They're really cheap on Amazon. Samsung makes these, in case anybody's curious. Samsung makes great drives. They are my go-to guys. I don't do cheap ass, pardon my French, hardware. I don't buy the cheapest things ever. Everybody talking about, oh, this costs much, it costs this, you charge this. Yes I do. I don't like trouble. I don't want my customers coming back. A lot of people can afford to solve their problems, and I understand other people are on very tight budgets and they don't like spending their money. This may not be the place for you, and again, when it comes to Mac, you guys already know what you're getting into. These things are not inexpensive. So Windows will see that drive and use that drive and everything else, and Mac understands this. If you were to format this drive for Mac and stick it over here on Windows, it is not going to understand it at all. It will actually pop up and say, do you want to initialize this disk? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. You will destroy the data on it. So be mindful when you're playing around in here, and I do not suggest you do if you do not know what you're doing, because you end up with data loss. I'm not going to be able to help you with that if we haven't set something up beforehand to account for the fact that these things don't always play along. So I like to back data up first and then start doing stuff. So if you come in here and it takes me some time to fix you, I'm sorry if that's upsetting to you. If you want quick and dirty, you can get that anywhere. But if you want slow and steady to win the race, you have come to the right place. Anyways, I'm coming in here to the disk utility, which I've lost. There it is. And I'm going to reformat this drive real quick. The tool I'm going to use to make the utility, make this disk bootable, may actually do that by itself, but since I don't know, exFAT. So exFAT is a way that you can partition that thumb drive where both Windows and Mac can see it. So that's super handy if people are switching from one to the other and they need to be able to see it. Of course, this thing understands FAT drives, FAT. Used to know what that stood for. You get older. Anyways, NTFS is typically what Microsoft's going to prefer these days, and Mac has their own. Used to be Mac OS Extended, and you Mac people know what that means. And with the newer APFS, the Apple file system, the newest Macs prefer that. The rest of you guys, don't worry about this jargon. I'm just giving you something to listen to while we repair this thing. Again, I am going to condense these videos. I am going to do a jump cut when this actually starts doing this, because there's no reason to just sit here and deal with it. That's good. That's been formatted, didn't take long. We're going to go get our fancy smancy tool. It's asking me if I want to use the thumb drive as a time machine backup. No, I do not want to do that. It is interesting that the drive is large enough where it's considering it. That's pretty good. I can't believe the size of these things these days. I would like to get a 2 terabyte SSD external USB-C. The file transfer rates on those guys are sick if you're into transferring large files, which I know that a lot of you may not, but in my world, this is like day in and day out. All right, let's see. I want to do this, and I want to nuke that drive. Are you sure? I am. You do have to be careful with some of these tools. Some of these tools will show you the hard drive that's in the machine, and you have to select the one that isn't the one you're using. Some of these things will let you blow your operating system up and take all your stuff with it. Everybody needs backups. However, this thing is already written almost a gig. It is moving right along. This is USB 3. Again, USB-C has faster throughput. USB-C has 20 gig throughput, in case you guys are curious. And Thunderbolt, which shares the same connection. So USB-C and Thunderbolt look exactly the same, except the pin structure is different in Thunderbolt, and it has 40 gigabit throughput. In case you guys were curious about that, I'm sure you're all dying to know this stuff. So I'm gonna let this finish. I'm just gonna let this record because I got lots of hard drive space, but I'm gonna jump cut this to when this is done, and then we're gonna start putting it over here. And I'm bouncing videos back and forth right now between the video for this one and the video for that one, and probably also the video for this one, and then later, some other time maybe, we've got this little guy that we can do a video about. I got to do some data recovery. This little HP stream, which is really not good for much. Windows is going to fill this thing up, so I'm probably going to just back the data up and throw Linux on there just to have some spare thing laying around. This has had spill damage, so I would not give this to somebody because I don't know how long that little guy is going to last. It does turn on miraculously, but once you spill something, it's the beginning of the end. Oh. See you on the other side. It's not a sponsor. I just like this stuff and I don't drink sugar. I'm not clicking on that.
Alright guys, so that actually tripped me out. I have used these with no issue to plug the Mac up, but for whatever reason this one is giving me no power lights. So I've put a sticker on it to identify that maybe this one has an issue. And again, you can use any power cord with a Mac. However, I suspect that this power cord may not work. I do have plenty of them laying around for years and years, and this one may simply have some sort of damage to it, but I will test that out later. I did plug my iMac, the 27-inch, into this, and right here in the middle of the logic board, I know you guys can't see too well, but there's 4 lights right here. Star Trek reference, Next Generation. You guys that know, if you know, you know. There are 4 lights. And if the one on the bottom is lit up, it means that the Mac is receiving power. Now that does not mean that the Mac is going to work. I had one today elsewhere that it gets that light, and when you press the power button, the keyboard lights flash for just a second, and that's all that you get. It would be better in that scenario if there were no lights, because it would mean that you could potentially replace the power supply and not have an issue, or like my iMac over there where it turns on and runs after a while, but when I tell it to do certain things, it shuts off. And then I have to literally unplug the cable, plug the cable back in, get it to turn back on. Having said that, that's using a regular PC power cable over there. It has no issue. This white cable has no issue. This, of course, is a Mac cable, but again, the connectors on it are the same as every other. So the fact that that thing doesn't work anywhere makes me suspect that that thing is bad. So anytime that you're playing with this, unplug the power before you touch stuff, and be careful of what you touch in here. If you get the screen and put it upside down and try to install it because you're not paying attention, you touch the wrong stuff on here, and at best you're going to be buying a new power board. At worst, you're going to be buying another Mac. And when I say you're going to be buying, I mean you will be buying your customer a different Mac. And I can promise you, your insurance is not going to take kindly to you screwing up your customer stuff. They're not going to want to cover that. Sometimes things happen, but if it's through freaking negligence, they're not going to want to deal with it. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-adhese this here, because again, that thing over there looks as if it is almost done. We have unplugged the power. We are going to gently put this back down, and we're going to plug this back up. I like to keep it tilted back so that the screen does not fall. And of course I can't see anything because the lighting in here in the evening is not the best. So we're going to grab this little guy, whose battery should be really charged. I'm going to try not to look at the camera with this little guy. Successfully created the Mac OS installer. Good. Would you like to continue? Yes. And that thumb drive is now doing what I need it to do. I'm not explaining this to you because honestly guys, you don't need to be doing this. If you want to figure out what the heck I'm doing, you're more than welcome to scour the web and risk it all yourself. I much prefer to give my customers practical things to do. The reason they call me to do the rest is because they don't want to know what the heck I'm doing. And I don't blame them. I don't want to know what it is either. All right. Oh, yes. Looks stupid. So nice. You PC builders, between my little spinny spin over here and this headlamp, oh my word, it is some kind of beautiful. Because I can angle this down right in here where I need to be. Plug you up, make sure that that latch is on. One day maybe I'll get a head cam and let you guys see what I see when I'm doing this. Of course, you're going to see me fumble with the power connectors. Some of us don't have 3D vision anymore. I am blind in one eye. However, that looks pretty good. We're going to make sure that this just sort of matches up a little bit. And we're going to tape that. I'm going to tape this. And I'm going to tilt this back so all the weight is leaning back. There is a lip here. It's not just going to sail off. However, I don't like to risk things. So now I'm a little more trusting of this scenario. I buy all this crap. Not that one. That's the seizurizer. Little seizures. I know people that have seizures. I'm not making fun of anybody, but ignore. Return to main menu, and we're going to close. All right, guys. On Windows, you can just yank the old thumb drives out or hit the eject. Most people just yank the thumb drives out. You do risk data loss with that. It is exceedingly rare. With mine, I don't worry about it. With other people's, I do take the time to do the ejection process. With Mac, you absolutely have to, or it will start barking and crying that nothing in the world is right and everything needs to be rejected and destroyed. I like on Mac how, for all the genius that these people believe that they are, and some of this works very well, and it's not as prone to viruses because who cares so much about your user data on here? There are viruses for these things. I want my phone, but by and large, it is largely virus free. It is not spyware free. You guys are going to learn. However, on this menu, when you right click or alt click or control click, whatever you want to do to get to this, I really enjoy how the eject the disk is right above the erase the disk. Now, maybe just James brain, but I would think that I would want eject the disk maybe the furthest away from erase the disk. Maybe erase the disk needs to be in an admin tools pop out, or I don't know, at the bottom or anywhere else except right next to eject the disk. I'm sure it would pop up and ask if you're sure. However, senior moment, maybe you're like, yeah, I do want to eject, and you've just overwritten your disk. I really don't know. I don't use that there. Never clicked it. Don't intend on clicking it. Put a lid on your dang drinks. If this spills, it's over, man. It's over. Put a lid on it. Kind of like put a ring on it, put a lid on it. And my coffee cup has a little slider to lock it. It doesn't do you any good if it's open on the counter. Lock it if you're gonna hands off. If you set that thing down, if you're not holding it, put a lid on it or close it. I got a cup holder that's built into my desk over here. Works great. Do that. Do anything except have liquids laying around your electronics. I need this to stay awake and do these videos. However, we all get what we get. Do I need this now? I don't think so. Of course, every time I think I don't need something, I do, and every time I think I do, I don't. So, but the bulk of what we need should be here. All right. So we're going to plug this back up, and we're going to plug this in here, and port in a storm. Bong. You guys are familiar with that. I'm going to hold down the Windows key. This would be the Option key for Mac. I have a Mac keyboard over there somewhere. I can't be bothered to use it right now. So we're just going to hold down the Option key to get to the boot menu. Man, look at the fingerprints on this thing. Impressive. Okay. This is, of course, the boot menu. Since there's no other options, and this particular thumb drive auto initiates the installer, it just jumps right to it. If this were any other kind of traditional install on, say, a newer Mac that had some operating system issue, you would hold down the Option. It would show you the internal disk. It would show you the thumb drive. If you had a Mac disk that you had hooked up via USB, that's also an option. This pops in and says, what do you want to do? And first we have to get in here and format the drive so we can get it ready to receive the install, because nothing on this drive has been done. So I'm going to go ahead and hit erase. I like to call this internal OSX. That is just so when I'm playing with this and drives and whatever, I always know if I look at it which drive it is. This one is the one that's on the inside. You guys can name this whatever you want. The default is untitled, which I find rather boring. It doesn't take long before this is done. I'm going to go ahead and close that. We are going to see if we can get some traction here. And this, of course, is Sequoia. I have tried this on, I got a little 2011 MacBook Air up there that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with. I'm either going to install Linux on it, if that's an option. Never tried. I'm sure the internet could tell me, but I'm a curious fellow and like a little mystery. Or we're going to take that out to the firing range one of these days with some video cameras that I purchased with this lapel mic I'm using, and we're going to fire some rounds into it. Mac Sequoia. It claims this is going to take 20 minutes. Again, speed this up, jump clip. I'll probably just speed it up and do a voiceover. So we're going to see about that. Really depends on how this is doing. Actually, I'm going to cut this here. We're going to let that ride. This here just finished up. I'm going to clip it and finish this video before we get back to this video. Before we do the other video for the desktop at 10 o'clock at night. So, you guys, be back soon. Okay, let's try this again. I don't even know what day I started doing this, so I'm not sure how far this has gone, but I think this is day 3. I keep doing this in pieces because I keep running into other stuff and responsibilities and dinner and sleep and all this, but we're gonna get back to this. And while this is being boring, I have a desktop that I need to look at. I'm gonna try to work on that while we're doing that. Again, might work, might blow up on my face. We don't know. We're gonna find out. Not that I haven't done this before, but this technique is relatively new to me. I have done it on a number of devices. I did it on that one. I did it on this. I thought I did it on this, on the original drive, just to see if it would work, but I can't quite remember. Or maybe I just assumed it would because it works on other stuff. And I know that I fought a good fight with this poor little thing, which is a 2011. It's a little ugly, but I had really hoped that I could get it a little further, but it just kind of locked up. I tried to put Catalina, it locked up. I still have the tape holding this up because until it's done and you're 100% sure it's done, you don't want to stick this down. I've had it where I've accidentally had this stuck out 1/4 of an inch. And once that adhesive is on there, man, it is time to do it again. Yeah, this thing, if you leave the USB in, it just auto picks the correct drive, I'm sure, once the initial install process is done onto the device. I don't think it can boot to it if you haven't made it this far. There is some extra stuff that I seem to remember that it wants to put on the drive once it gets in there. Nobody wants to use voiceover. Shush. And of course, if you guys are familiar with the Mac install, it's the same as it normally is. Next, next, next. I don't bother joining it to the network. I don't have a need to until I'm in there. So we're going to keep going, and hopefully this is going to work out. Do I want to migrate? Not now. Look for the little text. They started to do what Windows does. You got like obvious stuff here and then like no thanks over there. I'm always looking for the path of least resistance through this. I don't want to do the stuff that I don't have to do. I don't want to set anything up. When it asks for credentials, I tend to do owner. It's going to make you make a password. On Windows, if it asks for a password, you can just slap the enter key and have no password, which, as long as you trust your environment and you don't have a cat named Jinx near your computer, which he's not allowed in here. Obviously, I can't have him running all over this stuff. People might have allergies and whatnot, but he used to have free reign of the house, and he's very upset now that he's not allowed in here. You guys, if you follow me long enough, you're gonna meet Jinx, I promise. He's my buddy. He's a sweet boy, my cat. And we will have some footage somewhere with him in it. I'm forever cooking outside, grilling. My wife makes cookies. We're busy all the time peddling those and doing this, and so there's always something, and I'm usually just a very busy boy in general. So username owner, password and password, I believe. Did I hit continue, or did we freak this thing out? No. Okay, hit continue, and let's see where we go. Again, if you're doing this and there's already data on the machine, I have done this over there and it laid it down on top of it with no problem. I didn't have to use disk utility, wipe the drive, nothing. It just sort of, it did the exact same thing it's doing now, except I didn't have to worry about all the, so I have a lot of Mac installers on that one. And later this week when the power supply comes in, again, we're gonna get to that. Location services, I don't like to do any of this stuff unless I need an app to use it. So by default, I just tell it I don't want to share any of my life with it. I always put the time zone for New York since it's the same. Continue. Set up later for screen time. I don't need to ask Siri anything. And I like to do the auto brightness feature. I much prefer myself dark mode. Some people like staring into blinding white screens at night. I don't enjoy it. I have dark mode on like everything. And I wear my sunglasses at night. If you don't know what that song is, I'm sorry. But I'm gonna clip it in here. So, and I'm not lying. I have astigmatism in both eyes and I'm blind in one, and so when I'm driving at night, it's like a J.J. Abrams film on the highway. It's amazing. Luckily, my good eye is really good. Welcome to Mac. Thank you. It's really going to be sort of fun and entertaining for me to come back through and cut clips of pop culture stuff, largely movies, some songs, memes, whatever, into the videos, but it's really gonna make the work take longer, but hopefully you guys will find it entertaining and not particularly annoying, and if you do, you could take it or leave it. We'll see how that goes. All right, let's hit continue. And there's all the lovely trees. Now it says that I'm booting off the USB. Would you like to boot normally without the drive plugged in? Yes, I would love to do that. And so it's going to come and say, hey, I've got all this stuff that I want to do so that this machine can boot into the OS, and I'm going to say, yes, please put that on there. Select the disk that I want to put that on. I'm going to select the hard drive. I'm going to do the EFI partition, which means this one that it's booting from, or I would like it to boot from. We're going to keep going. And the reason I'm not telling you what I'm doing in complete detail is I don't want you guys out there nuking your system and then blaming me because you've done it. Again, this is what I do for a living. This particular one is just a bit of a hobby. Quit the keyboard assistant is barking because I don't have a Mac keyboard, but we're going to restart. I'm going to pull this thumb drive out the back when it goes down, and we're going to see if it boots when it comes back up. Let's see what happens. These things keep getting smaller, man. I'm going to lose that somewhere. I like that it's metal though. Very fancy. Samsung. Let's see what happens. Now on that one, what happens is it boots up, and then you see the little icon as if you held down the option, but if you don't touch anything, it just goes through. I think this is the same process I followed over there. Again, I did that one a while back, and I forget when I did this. Okay, so here it is. The only boot option is the internal disk. You can click the arrow, but I didn't, and there's the Apple logo. It's going to try to load the operating system now. If you pull this out before you go through that setup process, the setup is there, I'm pretty sure. However, it needed this to kind of bootstrap it to get it going. And then once you go through the process, you put the meat and potatoes on there, but to get the gravy, you've got to do that last step. Tell I'm hungry. I still got to go grill. What time is it? About 10 till 9. 8:48 right there. And then we see we have owner, and I'm going to put our password. It's very secure password. That is PASSWORD password. And I do this because if I start typing whatever in there, if it's theirs, I'll probably get it wrong. And if it's mine, I'll probably get it wrong. If it's not iCloud locked, I can get into these things. If it is iCloud locked, it is a boat anchor or paperweight. These things are not worth stealing from other people. And they're really, you have to really make sure before you buy it that it is not attached to an iCloud, or else you're going to get stuck with a lemon. I'm going to quit the keyboard assistant, but we're going to come up here. We're going to look at the Wi-Fi. We're going to join it to the guest network. I really thought this was going to take longer. So it looks like I'm going to get to finish this up. You know, if I could spell. I see it attempting to talk to the network. If that little guy goes solid, then of course my luck, there's something wrong with it. This is a old girl, and I didn't know anything about it when I started doing this, except it turned on, and it had the original drive in it. Huh, We have an exclamation point up there. Nope, it went solid. Okay. False alarm. So now we're gonna get on Safari. And really, the reason that this is even performing as well as it is with the operating system on it is because the solid state drive is in there, and the read-write speed of those solid state drives is 10 times what the original drive was when it was new. It's a shame that there's not an option for NVMEs on these things. The newer ones, of course, yes, and I've seen the new Macs, and they're about that thick with a little pedestal. Doesn't look like something I want to even attempt to try to get into. And so all I'm trying to really do is take these older ones and kick the can down the road a little bit, make it usable, keep people's money in their pocket, and keep a little bit of money in my pocket for doing it. You know, obviously if you spend 10% of the cost of one of these things to get it upgraded and it works, then you can continue to use it, no problemo, versus the alternative. It is kind of labor intensive. It does take some time. I do bill more for dealing with the Macs than I would if it was just like a Windows machine. There's a lot more going on. It's more nuanced. The risk is greater. The data, you know, typically I back these things up with Time Machine before I play with them. So if this was a customer machine, I would have taken that drive. I would have connected it to anything else via USB, used targeted disk mode to boot to the disk, logged in as the user, went up there, told it about the new drive, done a complete Time Machine backup so I have all the data even though I still have the drive. And then it's just in case the drive is old and crusty and failing, and usually people bring them in, they're slow, it's slow, everything's slow, and everybody thinks it's viruses, and it's almost never viruses. However, let's do something to make sure that we're actually on the internet. So we're going to search for something that should give me unique results. It says I'm not connected to the internet. Okay. How interesting. And I see it's searching up there again, even though it said it was connected. But why did you lie to me? It says I know about this network, which is my guest network, so I'm gonna click that. Of course, if this thing was wired, it'd probably just work. And again, this is a very old one, probably at the edge of the range that this is recommended for. If this was any older, I wouldn't have even attempted it. Enter the password. Okay. Right? Connect. Is that right? I think that's right. Maybe I could put an R in there on accident. Just trying. And for all I know, the NIC is bad on this. I don't know anything about this machine. It's probably why I have it. A lot of people use these until they stop performing the way that they expect, and then a lot of times they just get rid of it. But I hate tossing out something useful because you could still use this to make resumes, and you can connect it wired. There are probably options to get this wireless. Requires a now is my caps lock on? What do I got here? I have a feeling that it's just griefing me. And again, if I have to replace the NIC, which I may purchase one just to see what happens, or maybe this is a limitation of trying to do what we've done on a model this old. Maybe there's an issue. I don't really know. I don't think I've put one on something quite this age. I know that one over there is a little bit newer, that 27-inch with the power issue, but maybe this is it. No, I know that that's true. So, connection failed. Let's hit cancel. And maybe this is going to have to be a hardwired machine. We shall see. me go to Wi-Fi settings real quick. Kind of see what the network options are. Yeah, no, I'm not connected. It says it knows about this network. Let's tell it to forget it. Good night. Although I don't suppose that'll matter, but we'll say forget. It did join for a minute earlier and then jumped off for no obvious reason. And they make adapters for these things that can go from USB to wired if the port on the back is no bueno. I don't think I have a network cable that's actually ran around here. So I usually pull a wireless adapter out of my pocket like a magician and I try that. Connect, silly. Now it wants the password. Let's try this again. Although I know I've typed this incorrectly like 3 times. I am tired though, I just want to make sure. And then we're going to go play with the adapter in a minute. See maybe if we can yoink it off of there and give it something a little better. Settings error. Extension process exited. Okay, well, you know, if you're in a safe space, you don't have to stress. System settings, of course, is going to look alien to me. Network. Let's go to the network. Wi-Fi, and that's going to take us right back here. Oh, don't necessarily want that. Let's manage that now. I'm going to add a service or location. Let's delete the service altogether. See you later. So I just right-clicked and removed the wireless completely. I'm going to add service. We're going to add it back and see what happens. It is on. I wonder what the yellow light means. I deal with these a lot, but I'm not a know-it-all. I don't know everything. I know lots and lots and lots of things that a lot of other techs don't know. I've worked with some of the brightest people available, very clever. I've picked up a lot along the way. But I have my niche. Settings error, yeah. Extension process exited. I can't look up what that means over there. So, I suspect we found something that it doesn't particularly like. So I'm going to look that up here. Let's say again, extension, process Wi-Fi exit. It says 1009 for the error. Yes. Let's see what the internet thinks about this. Yeah. That's an idea. And this is part of it. If you guys think that all of this stuff lives in my head all the time, there's no way. I've forgotten so much stuff over the years. I used to work in a corporate environment, domain. I know a lot of you guys don't know what that means, but like servers, DNS servers, file servers, email servers, back when all of that was on individual pieces of hardware, taking up rack space, and it was an interesting time. Stressful for me, young and green, but you live and you learn. I wonder if it can even do this. Maybe I'll see. I wonder if I can get this from here. I bet I know where I can get this from. Let's see. Let's go yoink a piece from here. I may have to actually run a cable to get this to work. Nothing on that side of the room. Everything in here is wireless on this side, and everything over there is wired. But we'll see. Did I leave this running all night? I don't think so. Pretty good about shutting it off. Of course, I think this one's slightly newer than this one, so this one didn't experience the same issues that one did. But I can't be 100% sure, so we're gonna see. Maybe I forgot a step. It happens. Nobody bats 1,000, guys. So, and so much of this job is like, okay, I got a good idea of what's wrong. Let's see if this works. Nope. Okay, let's move over to here. Nope. Let's do some more research. Okay. And everybody's like, why is it taking so long? You know how fast I have to read to figure this stuff out? And I don't even read everything. I just kind of skim. I'm really good at parsing out clutter and finding on a big forum exactly what the heck I need. Most of the techs that actually are good at their job, that don't have some kind of photographic memory, are the same way. I have a really good memory. I have been told by very intelligent people that they wish they had my memory, and I have met other people whom I think has a much more impressive memory than me, and I actually envy them. Where's my downloads at? Let's go into Finder. Was I dumb enough to delete that after I installed it? Or, that's a harsh, actually yes I was. That's a harsh way to phrase it. I didn't know that I would need it. Okay, now are you actually online? I used you to make this. It claims we're online. Let's search for... Nah, it works. Okay. You know, guys, when I type up here, if you would just... Oop. I don't want to go there. I want to go here. I'd be upsetty spaghetti if that actually shows back up in the middle of this. Probably not, but weirder things have happened. Where's the download? There we go. My mom. I think it's this one. So we're going to download this again. Luckily, my internet is pretty beefy. Of course, I'm at the mercy of the server for how quick this may or may not download. he's so slow. Yeah, it's gonna take a few minutes. No problem. I guess we'll wait. I do have a desktop down here that needs a looking at. I did test it with the power supply tester, which either misplaced or put back where it went. Hard to say. Nope, it's right there. Hiding. This little guy. One of my favorite things. This one is a little more expensive than the last one I had, which is in my bag in the car. The newest power supplies come with a special connector. You gamers out there know what's up. Thing looks like this, right off of the power supply. That little guy plugs directly into the card. Some of them have a breakout cable. The newest ones in the 40 series and I'm sure the 50 series have this directly to the card. I'm surprised they don't offer you a generator to run the newest ones, which are coming out. Can't even get them right now. I'm very disappointed. Not that I have the funds or the desire to get one. I do have the old 3080 in here, and it's still chugging right along. It does everything that I want it to do. I'm kind of a practical guy these days. If it's not broke, I don't want to fix it. It plays everything. I should tempted to install Hogwarts Legacy. See what the graphics look like. But I wish I had time to finish the games. Last game that I really jumped into besides the Dune Awakening closed beta, which has been a challenge, but was fun. I am going to play that game when it comes out in May. Was Alan Wake 2. And I thought that was phenomenal. I have not finished it. It's still right there waiting for me. I have played Elden Ring. That was the last real vacation, if you can call it that, or anything close to a vacation that I had. It wasn't all roses and sunshine, but that was a number of years back, 2 years or three years now. It's been, and I've had time off from work, but not all time off is time off, depending on what you're doing. So I'm gonna take that, I'm gonna throw that over here onto the thumb drive. Yes, let the tech flow through you, my young Skywalker. Oh, I forget I can't just yank that out. Is it control click? Yeah. Right next to a erase disk. I must have been really tired yesterday. I remember the video, but good lord, seems like a week ago. Every day seems like a week. I don't sleep that well. Brain always going 1,000 miles an hour, trying to get things done, thinking about problems. We all got our lives, and all of us are, I don't know about all of us, but a lot of us are, you know, we stress over things we can't control and things we got no business worrying about, and worrying about people we care about, and caring about people we worry about, and everything in between. It's a little bitty motherboard. You guys see this? But we'll find out. If not, it'll be a tester. Golly. I probably will try to throw maybe Linux on here, man. I really hate to see this go to waste. And if some person can get their kid online and get them studying, I'm gonna get some of this alcohol. I have 99% alcohol in here. Medical grade stuff, not recommended for your skin. And I forget where I got these from. I think I ordered bottles just to steal these off of, and they screw right onto the alcohol, so I use that in laser mode for intruders. Right in the eye. I'm kidding. We actually have something more effective in here for that, but still funny. Don't recommend you drinking this. Try not to knock that table behind me over. There's not a lot of room left in here. I did annex the front of the house for my workroom, so it is what it is. And of course, I really thought that the walk-in over there was the sun porch was going to be the office, and this was going to be the workroom. However, I'm married, so that happened. So that is now bakery. And that just is the way it is. So everybody that comes in here gets a free tour of the bakery before they hit this room, which is just cluttered beyond belief. But honestly, I use a lot of this stuff, so there's nowhere else to put it. It just is what it is. If anybody has a warehouse that they'd like to bring over here and drop off, I would love to do that. If I could just run this right off the thumb drive. I bet I can. Let's see. Things I'm used to doing on Windows that I've not really tried on Mac. Running random software off of thumb drives. I'm sure it'll work. Not open, couldn't verify, done. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Is it because it's not on the... Let's see, maybe it doesn't like it because it didn't download it. Huh. Well, let's see. Sharing and permission. No. That's not very forthcoming. It's not locked. That's funny because if I were on the network, you know what? Let's see. I actually have a wireless network adapter in here. Don't judge me. I'm not a nerd. This is necessary to have in my pocket at all times. I've never actually tried to put this on a Mac. I don't think it's going to understand what it is, but we shall see. I'm not sure if the... No, not settings then, huh? So I'm not sure which interface. Let's see, add service. What do we got here? No, I think it just uses the same one. So that's not overly helpful. Again, Windows is a bit of a different animal. So it works a bit of a different way. Everything with Windows is, I need a driver. And I'm sure that's baked into the Mac software, but I have written software once upon a time for Windows. I have never attempted to do it on a Unix or Linux-based system. The languages are just completely different than what I was used to. So, anyways, the internet seems to suggest that this is not a hardware problem, although that's not proven yet. But one way to do it would have been to leave the original operating system on there, try to reset the passwords, log in as one of the users. But I don't like playing around with people's private information. They were very adamant that I destroy it, which is not a problem. But again, you can put this on a desk in the computer room, run a cable over to the router, bang, done. course, it thinks my keyboard is something it isn't. No, that's definitely the password. I think this thing is just having a moment. How odd. Yeah, did that. Yeah, if you have Ethernet. I used to have a printer over there. Oh, it's still there. Hello, Mr. Printer. How are you? How long is this cable? Where does it go? I used to have this super long one. Of course, my wife helped me clean. I'm not entirely sure what that cable went. It was ugly as sin, but rather large, and I think it would reach around the room. See, it was in here at one point, but now it isn't. I think it's over here in the cabinet. We have cubbies everywhere in here. Ah. Yes. Again, ugliest cable in the house, probably. Well, maybe the second ugliest cable in the house, but it will definitely reach. So we're going to attempt to run this from here all the way over to there, just to see if I can get the internet to work. Then, as much as I would like to do more for the evening, I don't suppose I'm going to be able to do it. Likely going to work on this little guy tomorrow when I'm fresh. Again, I use that power supply tester on this desktop down here, and it said that all the things were good. The real question is, can I reach my switch from here? It is buried behind my desk. And if I go under here, I may not make it back out. But luckily, you guys get to go on this journey with me because my lapel mic lets you. Why are you like this? Oh yeah, I see you. Hurrah. Link light just came on, and again, so where does this go? I found another rogue cable out here, and I don't even know what it goes to or why it's here. Huh. Anyways, I'm gonna keep pulling this with me until it's sitting in my lap, apparently. All right, Ethernet connected. There we go. Well, let's delete you since you don't seem to be giving us any help. Actually, let me close that. Oh, there's Capybara. Alright, got interrupted there. People are unsure if I'm in here talking to myself, whether I'm watching a movie or recording. Because I always enjoy watching movies on my computer chair, which is probably the most uncomfortable place to watch a movie. So they said I need to give them some indication that I'm actually in here recording. So you know how the studios are, where they've got the big red sign that says recording? I'm gonna get one of those maybe. However, while I was doing that, I did learn something that I didn't know, which is that Mac does not want you to just drag some rando piece of software off of a thumb drive and throw it on there and run it. Makes a certain kind of sense from security standpoints. However, again, I'm used to the Wild West that is Windows. So Windows lets you do whatever you want. Mac might, but you'd probably have to do a workaround. And I'm sure there's some kind of terminal command I could type to make it not care, but I don't want to do that if it's going to be this all-encompassing thing. What I could have done is logged into my NAS, flipped on the Apple version of SMB. I forget what it's called exactly, but it lets you see the drive from across the network. And I probably could have said, hey, get this file from here, and it would have said, do you want to allow downloads from this place? And I would have said yes, and it would have come over and let me run it. However, I did go to GitHub and get what I needed there, downloaded it, ran it, and it installed a post-install patch that I don't think I did off at the thumb drive, which I believe is removed. It certainly doesn't seem to care about this little guy. I think this came with a CD, which I can't install on here. I could use an external drive potentially and try to go that route, but honestly, if the post-install patch is going to work better, we'll just do that instead. I am going to yoink out the patch cable here. I'm running out of steam, guys. I was going to work on this tonight. I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm running out of time. It's about 9:30 and I'm tired. So we're going to see now that the now that the post patch is going on. And what it's done is it's identified what model this is, because the basic install just puts the operating system on there. I suspect everything else that went on afterwards helps alleviate a lot of the symptoms of having this on unsupported hardware. So this is third-party stuff. Again, we're just playing around. It'll work or it won't. That's not the password for that network, though. That's what I know. So try that again. While that's thinking about it, well, let's go remove the password. I want to remove the user password off of here, actually, because I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not. I don't particularly have a lot of need for these things. I need one of them around just to do what need to be done. Yeah, it says it requires a WPA2 password. And I am all but certain that that is, in fact, the correct one. So it looks like the wireless option on here is not really going to work out of the gates. I may be able to run down some rabbit hole and figure that out. I do know wiring this is going to work. Odd. The wireless icon is now searching for wireless networks or is attempting to join one, even though I've told it what the password is like 30 times. Nah. I know that that's the correct password, and so that is just not going to work, I don't suppose. I can try this one. Assuming that it's not something on the network side. I think that it's just this wireless though, but I don't know if I could spell. Let's slow it down. I do believe that is the correct password for that network. Let's hit join and see what happens. I almost am certain it's going to regurgitate that password as well. It doesn't like any of them for any of the networks. Look, see? So that is not going to be a thing. I suppose if you found some wireless antenna, I'm sure that makes some USB antenna that we might be able to use in lieu of the baked-in hardware to try to circumvent that. And there's lots of ways to get around that. Even if you got a piece of hardware that was a wireless bridge. For the networking people, they know what that is, but what that is you have two wireless access points and they talk to each other, and then you may have wired devices on either side. That's why it's called a bridge, because it wirelessly bridges the two wired networks together. You could just plug it into the wall. I'm sure it'll be fine. We'll find some use for this thing, whether it's here or not. I'm not going to bore you with the adhesive. However, it is cut out, and the contours of that guy are such that this is only going to fit in one place. You'll see where these things go. The size kind of gives away, and the shape kind of gives it away. If you can do the little puzzle piece play thing that we all had when we were little, even though we all know that everything will fit in the square hole, if you actually play it the way it's meant to be played, these things really do only fit on there one way. The ones with the little L shape go on the bottom, and so this is double-sided, very durable adhesive. You, again, don't use anything except something that's made for this, because I forget what it's not elasticity, it's the other word, I'm very tired. But whatever causes the adhesive to adhese on this is super strong, and once you put this on there, I tend to put one half of it down and leave the other half until I'm ready to put the screen on. I make sure it's off, power's off. This tape's gonna come off, this thing's gonna be in my lap, and I'm gonna painstakingly put this on there. I know you two-eyed people may find sticking stickers on things easy. I usually start from the edge and work my way inward so I don't get the dimensions wrong. And if you end up going over or you get a piece wrong, this stuff is not the most durable piece of stuff you've ever seen. So if you were to grab it and just tear a piece off, you know, if you're overhung by this much on one edge or another, or if you make a mistake like that, it's not the end of the world, as long as you don't have a lot of bumps, because you want it to be really flat and clean. But as long as you've done that, if you're hanging out because you used one piece instead of another, and you need to just yank the edge off just to make sure it's not poking out, it is not going to be the end of the world. There's so many of these things stuck on there that screen's not going to go anywhere. You know, of course, this is made for something like this corner, and they're going to have another one that's going to mirror it on the other side. It's going to sit in there like this, and then the shape's like this. I forget which side, but one of these sides has physical indentions that match this, so you can't get it really wrong. I do tend to think that the curves go at the top and the little piece goes at the bottom. They don't really give you instructions with this. And if you were to go the other way and put this on the other side, it's not going to match, so you're not going to get that wrong. You may get the sticky part, you know, you could go this way or that way, but I tend to think that the curve is for the top, because this L, I know, definitely goes along the bottoms. It sticks, and then you run it along the base edge, and you'll see on the back of this glass, if you're doing this repair, how the glass hangs out just enough to put the sticky on, and then the actual physical cameras and the part of the LCD in here, you know, bumps up and is actually thicker on the back. So you'll know how to get this done. It's scary if you've not done this before, and you'll see throughout this video when I pop that screen off, when I pulled this off to test the power, that screen was stuck just a little bit just from the old adhesive that's not even on there anymore. And when I was getting my fingers under it, the screen just kind of leapt off at me. It felt like something out of the Aliens film. The face hugger had jumped onto Ripley, and I'm gonna put a jump scare sound, you know, the old thriller, horror thriller knife sound, because my heart leapt into my throat. And it doesn't, this was, you know, donated. It doesn't matter if I throw it away, but I don't like just frivolously destroying stuff that's worth anything. Again, I have aspirations of maybe taking that 2011 to the range and throwing some rounds in it. You know, we could get some good company logo and put on there, and then send a few downrange at it. But if I can actually make that work for somebody that needs it, I would much rather help them out than try to build my brand. And honestly, that's what my brand is largely about. is helping everybody achieve the things they need. I was on site before I got here over in Lake Ashton. For you guys that know, I'm in Lake Wales and you're further out, I've been to North Lakeland, I've been to Davenport, Haines City. I can go to Frostproof. I have been out to Babson Park. I get people from all over that like to drop stuff off. My wife, God bless her, can do the intake and outtake for me, and she is not a tech and doesn't know all the things. She knows enough to get it on the network, and I can remote into it if it's some kind of thing that needs to be addressed right now, or something I can do you know, remotely where I'm at. I can typically remote in using software. I've got stuff that I can run on my phone. You know, we got ways of getting things done, but and if I don't answer your call, it's not because I don't want to talk to you or I'm not interested or anything like that. When I'm paid to be on site, people are paying me to give them my undivided attention. And again, if it's something like this or this and the phone's blowing up, which it does, I'm not going to just like stop it to answer the call. I will get back with everybody that leaves a message. I know that there have been a few times where I've dropped the ball, but by and large, a high percentage of these calls get returned. Please do leave me an actual message. If you call, tell me who you are, what you got going on, where it's at. Don't be cagey. Hey, I got a problem, need you to call me. I'm not going to call you. You got a problem. Is it a flat tire? I know you're calling a computer place, but then it makes me wonder if it's something I don't actually do. I've had guys be like, hey, I got this RGB thing in my truck, and I know that you got RGB in your computers. And I'm like, yeah, your truck cable you're looking for is about that long, and the cable I have that I can get for the computer is about this long, and I'm not sure that the connections are even the same. And even if we cut the wires, I don't know what they need to look like or anything. How about you take that back to the guy that didn't do it right and get him to do it right? And it's not me being ugly, it's just I'm very good at some things and very not good at others. I can use my phone. I cannot work on phones. If you have some kind of security problem with your phone, I'm not a security expert with phones. I know what to do on the desktops all day long. Laptops, no problem. Mac, I gotcha. Anything else, kind of beyond me, but I'm gonna go out here, light the grill, guys, call it a day. It is late, getting near 10 o'clock, and I've got to cook still. So I will get to this recording this weekend. Hopefully next week these videos are gonna start rolling out. I will probably record me getting into this tomorrow. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I suspect based on the testing that I've done that the motherboard is the culprit, but we're gonna pull the stuff out of here. We're gonna Frankenstein this guy on a piece of styrofoam. We're going to jump that off with a screwdriver because we're going to not have the computer case to do it. So I'm going to show you all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't normally get to see, things that the guys that do this don't want to show you maybe. I know a lot of people keep it close to the chest. I'm not keeping that close to the chest because I don't want you to do it. I'm keeping what I've done there close to the chest because I don't want you nuking your stuff. Right? You want to give me a call and ask, whatever, no problem. But you're on your own if you blow your rig up. If you don't want to take the risk and you want me to take the risk, then by all means give me a ring. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And we're going to call this a night. See you later.